Excellent. So here we are again, Ed.
Here we are. Here we are. Zena, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
It's been a great day. It's hot outside, but and pretty busy. So I'm trying to ignore that and just keep my head down. How about
Yeah.
yourself?
Well, we're in the same city, so you know exactly how hot it is this summer. I just got a notification from my energy people telling me to stay cool, and things are moving especially fast, and I think that's why we're here today, right?
Absolutely. The industry has been moving fast. There's a lot of changes taking place. I'm excited about that because, as a broker at heart, I enjoy transactions. And I think that when you have some significant changes in the marketplace, that automatically starts to create transactional volume. And hopefully people are ready for it.
I think they are. I really do think they are. So I wanted to ask you, do you consider investments in real estate in general a good hedge against inflation? We see inflation everywhere from, gas to the grocery store. So, do you think real estate is something that folks should invest in to kind of offset that?
Absolutely, right. Real estate is good because, especially real estate that has short-term leases. When you look at hotels, look at apartment buildings, they can adjust their revenue to increase the adjustment of inflation. So, apartments can increase their rents by 5 or 6% on a quarterly basis if necessary to hedge against inflation. Hotels can do the same on a daily rate. They can make those changes. So buying in a real estate that has income coming through that can be adjusted to meet inflationary measures is probably a very smart investment. I would say that you should be careful though buying real estate right now because we're at that inflection point where interest rates are going up and cap rates are going up, which means theoretically that property values are coming down. So if you're in a hurry to buy right now, and let's say sellers are not the fastest to say, I'm going to adjust my price downward. They're still trying to chase after yesterday's price point. So if you're in a hurry to buy and you buy something at what is considered to be a low cap rate or low yield investment, when prices are coming down, you could put yourself in a worse situation where you're not hedging against inflation. You're actually buying into something that is becoming unstabilized just because of market conditions. So yes, real estate is the best investment to hedge inflation. But right now, as we're going through rising interest rates and cap rates, you should be careful about which investment you make and know what kind of target yield you're looking for. I would not be buying at a low cap rate with a value add assumption that we're going to fix up and raise rents to capture a higher rent. I think that's something you might want to be more conservative about because not only are we going through inflation, but it looks like we might be heading into recession, which means that in general, people spend less money. And if you're thinking they're going to spend more money on this apartment building or this hotel in terms of their rental rates, then you might be find out that that's not going to happen. In some cases, the reverse might happen. They'll have to discount in order to get people to become more attracted to those assets.
So you said something that I was literally going to touch on next. In parallel with inflation, we have the looming downturn, So I know that you are a solutions man. And so I wanted to know what RedSwan has uniquely to offer for those investors and empowering them during this time.
Well, I think we've hired some really good real estate experts in the various property classes, whether it be office, multifamily, hospitality, now industrial. And they're looking out for projects that they feel are mispriced and projects they feel will be good long-term investments. And so we're scouring through a lot of deals on the market, a lot of people calling in to find those properties that we think would be very strong for our investors to invest into. And this is basically assets that we see are being offered at a good value. What I mean by that is that the value point is providing a payout of yield that's 6% or better, which was a few years ago very hard to find, even a few months ago very hard to find, and also opportunities where owners are willing to bring down their price point in order to bring on investors so they can attract some yield. So those type of scenarios, what we're really looking for, and people are calling, so I know they're out there. And we're also, even though people don't call, we're looking at projects, understanding the market, and then finding those deals we think will be the best tokenized project for our customers.
Yeah, and on your platform, you actually do offer a high degree of transparency into those deals. So that's absolutely excellent. And you said something there in terms of, growth. So the question I have for you next is, how are you financing this growth?
Well, luckily, we're starting to generate some revenue, so that helps. I mean, as people sign on, they pay us. As we sell shares, we get our fees from that. But we're also raising capital through investors. Last year, we had our first Reg CF, which is kind of like a published equity round, and that was called Reg CF. We're doing that again right now. We're having Reg CF. We're going to keep the valuation the same to raise $5 million from that. And then we're rolling that right into our Series A, which is there are a lot of institutions that are looking to be involved, and a lot of what we call strategic investors that not only have an economic benefit from buying into or investing in our stock, but also a business benefit from working with RedSwan. So maybe they're into the real estate finance business already, or they have a large portfolio of real estate that would be nice to be tokenized so they can now pull more capital in, or they're a REIT that has funds out there that are trying to collect more capital globally for their funds. So they're reaching out to us. And so we think those would be great investors to invest in our Series A round. And so that's going to probably kick off in the fall, September, when it comes around, people back from vacation, ready to start writing checks. We're going to be looking for that Series A round to raise about $40 million of capital.
That's absolutely amazing. So I know that you have that audience already built in, but hopefully folks watching this, hopefully folks watching this will get in contact with you, because I know that people are looking at what you're doing, not just looking, but really interested in how to integrate it into their own business for the success that you've seen so far, and to meet Web3, Web4, Web5, the future, which is now.
Yeah, we're not looking that far down the road, but Web3 for sure. And there are a lot of investors almost 700 investors participated in last year's Reg CF. We think that there'll be more this year. And the CF is for retail customers. They don't have to be accredited. So that's the nice part about the Reg CF. And these are non-accredited investors can come in and invest. And then when we have the Series A, it will be Reg D accredited investors only. And so for those people are interested, they just send an email and request to be on our distribution list. And we will actually send a package, make them sign a document and send the investment package to them to take a look at. But that's as much as I can say about that. But yeah, we're excited about that raise. And then in the future, our Series B, we're actually thinking about, for the first time, tokenizing our own stock and making that a Reg A offering. So that'll be another Series A where the whole public can get involved on a Reg A, and they allow you to raise up to $75 million on a Reg A. So we're already have selected our law firm who's working on the Reg A application, so that once we finish our Series A, we can roll right into a public offering for the Reg A for investors globally, which that'd be great for us.
Yeah, so your first raise was through Seed Invest, correct?
That's correct. That was Reg CF through Seed Invest. It went pretty well, but we're doing a little differently this time around. We're providing our own platform, so the investors come to our platform and they can hit a buy button and invest. There's a broker dealer that's attached to that makes sure all the investors know what they're doing and gives them advice if they need some. And so we have a whole team we're hiring around our next public raise.
All right. Last question. Are you excited? Just kidding. Of course you are.
Hey, I wake up every day ready to go. I mean, sometimes, but I follow my mother's advice by getting some rest and not trying to do everything in one day, so I don't wear myself down. But yeah, it's very exciting, and people call from all walks of life. I mean, I get to speak at different places. I mean, a lot of opportunities are opening up because people see what you're doing and they like it. Everybody likes the concept of what we're doing because they know it makes a lot of sense and they want to get involved. And so for me, that's exciting. That's fun.
I agree. And I can't say I'm excited as you are because you are probably the most excited, but I would say I'm a close second. So congratulations on all of this. I think that we should move on to a different subject, which I am really excited to hear about. I love hearing you talk about your company because you have so much passion for it. I know you have a passion for your team. I know you have a passion for this space, for this industry, and you're really driving this. So what's new with RedSwan? Tell us about your team. Are you hiring?
Well, yeah, we're hiring as much as we possibly can. You know, you got to be very strategic and humble when you're hiring as a startup because you can't pay people the top salaries that they deserve. So you have to pay them in some stock and also provide jobs that have significant upside. And that's been working really well for us. So we've hired new operations managers, rank and file production people. We're now hiring brokers from the FINRA, SEC brokers that can help us on the secondary market sales as well as on primary issuance. We're hiring people in the tech sector that help us build, we continuously are building and working on our tech, our website. So yeah, we're hiring and we're just, people are coming to us too. So I'm hiring, but I'm also getting people telling me they're fed up with what they're doing. They want to do something different. They like what we're doing. They want to see how they can fit in. And that's a great scenario for me because, they're not really coming on board full time. They're coming on board kind of slowly transitioning into it to show me what they can actually do. For example, I have a person who came to me to be in charge of impact investing, right? They really like, getting impact type of projects, whether it be housing or, food sources or things of that nature that are driving impact. And so they have connections. They've shown me and demonstrated they have connections on the capital source, as well as they have connections on development source for the product coming through the door. And so bringing a person like that on to run that division, if they have the capability to work both sides of the aisle and create that marketplace for impact investment, these are the kind of people we're bringing on board because that helps us expand our product offering and puts a captain in charge who knows that area or that industry really well that can help us grow. And so then what I have to do then is to continue to find financing to kind of keep driving that business, but at least I have the right expertise in place.
Right. And so we talk about RedSwan as a marketplace, right? And that means that you're bringing buyers and sellers together, right? And so there are assets on your platform. What have you done in terms of expanding those assets?
Well, business has been great. The past 5 months or so, just in the past 2 months, we onboarded about $1 billion worth of real estate. So our sales are
just multifamily. Can you explain to our audience?
Well, yes, multifamily, both stabilized product as well as new development projects. We hired an expert on the hospitality, so he's brought on almost $600 million worth of hospitality projects. We have a high-rise going up in downtown Miami. We have, of course, one that's in downtown San Diego. We have projects in other parts of Florida. So more hotels are coming onto our platform. More multifamily projects come on the platform. We have 2 new retail properties coming on, which is kind of like a Dave & Buster's franchise. These are experts that have been building these around the country. They're very successful business models. So we're tokenizing that, putting on our platform. There's a lot coming on board. I think, like I said, owners are now realizing that they are looking for sources of alternative capital, and there's not much they can look. They can go back towards the institutional side, but they know that those are going to be, even though they can be big checks, they're going to also take a big chunk in terms of their grip on the project and their sharp teeth on their terms. So they really want that retail capital. They want some of these, investors who are not 100%, so savvy that they want to take advantage of the developers or control the developers. They want the investors who are just looking to rely on the developers to do their job and give them a good return. So that's what we're looking for, are projects that will give our investors a good return, that have excellent sponsors behind the projects. So we know that they have a long shelf life. And that's why these investors are coming on our platform on a regular basis. We're growing. We have about 7,000 investors right now on our platform, and we hope to have close to 30,000 by next year by continuously word of mouth spreading, but also advertising. And also when you increase the size of your offerings on your platform, you're going to increase the size of people looking and sort of registering to be a part of that, because everybody wants to be able to find deal access. And so we've been talking to a lot of family offices because they write bigger checks, but they also know what they want. And, they don't want to spend a lot of time, a lot of money chasing after projects, which is, typically what they had to do for the past 5 years. So coming to us, they now have a pipeline of projects that meet their criteria, and also a representative that will help them identify or read through some of our listings so they can find exactly what they're looking for.
It's that flight to quality, right? Yeah, you said something that really resonates. A lot of people don't know what they want, but there are a lot of people that do know what they want. They just don't know where to find it, right?
Very true.
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice that you're providing that marketplace and that kind of support. And like we said earlier, that transparency into the process and that valuation. And it looks like you've got this sorted for both sides. So one of the things I really loved when I first met you was that I was like, Ed has a plan. I remember I was like, I want to come work for you. And you were like, no, I've got something better for you. And yeah.
I can't afford you, yeah. But yeah, no, we do have a plan. The plan is working out very nicely. I mean, we're growing the platform. We're bringing the right people on board. We're looking for synergies in terms of companies that we think work well with us. We're finding ways for larger companies, like, I won't mention any names, but large companies that develop these huge multi-billion-dollar projects on behalf of cities, right? They always talk about how they want to have, diversity and inclusiveness on their projects, but yet they never let these types of investors who are diverse come into the equity of their projects. And so I've been challenging them that if that's what you really want, is to get diversity and inclusion, then just carve out a section of the equity that you're raising through institutional investors for RedSwan to raise, and we'll lower the initial price point so that more of a community can invest into your projects. So if you're in Houston or you're in Atlanta, or you're in DC, and you're building these big projects, and you only have Starwood or BlackRock as your investors, then carve out $10-30 million or so of the equity that you're bringing on board, and let RedSwan now break that up into fractional shares and issue it to accredited investors, but for a lower check size. This gets more community involvement. This gets more diversification in their investments, and this is really putting their money where their mouth is.
I like it. Bringing solutions, Ed. So speaking of solutions, I think that those who have been dabbling, let's say, in cryptocurrency, haven't quite gotten a grip on worth, right, and value. And we discussed it a little earlier in this interview in regards to coins, right? So can you tell us a little bit about the RedSwan coin?
Well, it's not out yet, but we are in the phase of, we've minted our coins. We've gone through our audit to make sure that the design of the coin, it's been audited, so it's done properly, and it'll function properly in terms of the smart contracts associated with it. But this coin is going to be really a financial tool that helps us to both navigate the RedSwan platform, so people want to buy STOs rather than have to kind of convert their dollar or yen or peso into a digital currency or into dollars. They can actually just buy our coin off of our web platform, one-to-one, and then use that to buy into our STOs much faster. Also, we take the proceeds from the coin that we have and put that proceed into mezzanine debt. We think that there's a big bottleneck, and that's why there's a lot of mezzanine debt is so expensive on the capital stack, is because it's kind of the last money coming in, and they get to look and see how desperate the parties are, and then price mezzanine debt accordingly. So it goes from a low of like 7.5% to a high of 25%. We think that's ridiculous, and we think that by being able to capitalize a mezzanine debt at a fixed rate of like 7.5 or 8% will be very attractive to the industry. And also, you think about the coin owners, people who are buying our coin, knowing that it's backed by the debt of a piece of property is almost to the same level of securitization as buying the equity side, because the debt side actually has a lien against the property, is getting a nice return. That return doesn't flow through to the investor, right, or the coin owner, because that would become a security. The coin actually is just a piece of, has a value that will continue to appreciate, because if you put the coin into mezz debt and you're generating 7% or 8% on the mezz debt and it's recapitalizing every year, that money goes back into the liquidity pool of the coin just becomes stronger in value. So it goes from $1 to $1.15 to $1.20. Every year it just keeps going up in value. Well, think about, some of these owners or these coin owners that are in third world countries, and they're looking at their currency that's falling by the wayside, and every day they lose 10, 15% of value because of inflation. If they were able to buy our coin and hold that, even as a safety mechanism, let alone to buy STOs, at least it's stable and is appreciating in value for them, and they know it's going to hold this value because it's backed by solid real estate. So this is what we're really trying to do to make the world a better place, but also make the monetary system for at least the RedSwan marketplace, very consistent, very strong, so that people won't feel like they're buying something that can really be very volatile or fall in value quickly.
So just in one sentence, what's different about, or what is going to be different about RedSwan coin from the other cryptocurrencies?
Asset backed, 100% asset backed by commercial real estate. So I think that's the big difference between our coin and other coins out there. You might have coins that are backed by gold or silver or some kind of asset like that. But I think backing it with real estate that's actually capitalizing and building in value is better than gold or silver, because on gold or silver, you have to wait for it to appreciate in value based on supply and demand. But if you actually have, like I said, capital coming into the coin, into the liquidity pool every single quarter, then that coin is actually getting stronger and stronger in value. And I think people will appreciate that.
Awesome. Thanks, Ed. So we're going to transition now into a little bit of a different, topic. And I think it's so funny because my new phrase is the future is now, right? So it's hard to say the future because I feel like the future is coming to us, right? We're not going to it. It's coming to us, and it's now. So based on what you know now, what does the future of brokerage look like? Let's say 5, 10 years down the line.
Well, I've been a broker for 19 years. And, when I got out of the industry, it was starting to get very crowded and very competitive. We were, I won't say fighting over fees, but we were definitely discounting fees to get business. And I think that you'll find that if tokenization, as it matures and becomes larger and larger, that's going to be the preferred way to recapitalize assets. Because let's face it, why would a seller sell a property when they can get 90% of their equity or more out of the property and still own it and still appreciate the upside? So there's really have less reason to want to sell. And if that means you have less reason to sell, you're going to have less need for a broker to sell your asset. So I think, that's going to be one area that brokers to look at, is that, wow, if the sales go down, if I'm the leader of my industry, I'm still going to get business. I'm just not going to have as much volume as I had before. So if you want to augment that, you have to do something different to kind of replace that capital that you lose, or you raise your prices. You can do that too. If you're one of the few surviving brokers, you raise your price, you're charging a higher percentage. But I think that still, kind of dissuades an owner from wanting to sell. They have to pay a very high price to get out, and they lose the asset versus if they can just recapitalize that asset, take that equity and really take advantage of that opportunity cost money just sitting in their property. That's going to be the best way for an owner to be able to really build their assets under management and also have a much stronger yield on their investment.
Yeah, I totally agree. So
opportunities for brokers. I know you're going to ask me next, what can brokers do? What should they be thinking about? And I think, because I was talking to a group a couple of weeks ago that was a bunch of brokers, young brokers in the room, and saying, what should we do? How can we get into the digital world? And I think that there's a lot of value that they have. They know the marketplace. They know how to put a value on the asset. They know how to read the financials for a property. They can help advise a property owner on what their property is worth so they can recapitalize. They can refer recapitalization projects to companies like RedSwan or other tokenization companies. They can be very heavily involved in that process. They can also go out and get their securities broker license, so they can now be part of the disposition transactions or the trading transactions that are going to happen. So these are all types of ways they can, I think, supplement their current brokerage income as that market starts to decline or compress. Then these other opportunities will start to expand.
So you kind of touched on it with what you were just saying, right? But then there are brokers and then there's brokerage, right? So if you can touch on just for a second, what can brokerage do right now to start to integrate some of their best practices into blockchain and future technologies or technologies that are going to get them ahead now?
Well, I think that understanding the property around them, the marketplace, looking at real solutions to the owner's problems. And I think just saying sell is not a solution, right? Sell sometimes can be the last resort of a solution. Refinancing these properties is going to be, I think, something that brokers can also do, because you're always going to have banks involved in providing loans for real estate. So I think that's still can be a very viable business. But I really like, the fact that they get into the digital side of it, that they can digitize the debt, they can digitize the equity. And I think that's an area where they can be involved with bringing on a lot of investors who want to buy into these assets. I mean, tokenization is one thing. You can tokenize the asset and it's now in digital form. But finding the investors to actually buy those shares is a whole new opportunity, right? And I know people who know a lot of their influence and know a lot of investors, and that's all they do is try to find deals for investors to invest in. And if they start looking at from the digital aspect, I think they can use that same skill set, but using digital assets instead.
Being solutions-based is always a great idea. And, you spend so much time not just thinking about this, but making it a reality, right? And I think that's what people love in a broker. People love someone who's going to have it figured out for them, right? Like you said earlier, people know what they want, but where do they go? What do they do? So that's really great that you've been such a resource to everyone in this industry and being a first mover as well. So lastly, you might be a first mover, but they're coming for you. They're coming for you. So and the best part about you is that you're willing to share and learn and grow with folks. So do you have any advice for those who are coming up in the industry, doing what you're doing or want to do what you're doing?
Do it. I mean, come on. This is 33 trillion. That's just in commercial. It's bigger than that. It's going to get even bigger when you start looking at more residential and, even different types of agricultural type of real estate projects come into the marketplace. I say they should start getting into the business. I mean, there's no reason to stay on the outside. If you see that it's already working and you see that it's growing, don't stand on the sidelines watching it to see if it's going to fall apart. I mean, everything is telling you that this is the way the market is moving. This is the way business is moving. So don't stay on the sidelines. Get involved. Start, putting your practice together. Start pulling in technology that's actually working in your favor for tokenizing assets, tokenizing debt, and get involved with it. Start connecting with companies that are doing the work and learning how their process is. I mean, we always need help, right? Because there's so much going on. If you're a lawyer, I mean, get involved with the legal side of it. There's a lot to be done on the SEC. There's PPMs that have to be written. So there's just, I think, a lot of avenues for careers in the digital space. Not to even mention, I talked to an architect, which is, I was in Lagos, Nigeria, and we were on a call. He says, "How can I get involved? I'm an architect." I said, "God, you're an architect. We're tokenizing assets. They have this thing called the metaverse now, right? And so people who go to the step to tokenize their asset are actually taking their asset and really putting it, into Web 3.0 on the blockchain. They're also going to, possibly make an NFT of their asset, which now sits on the metaverse. They now can buy real estate where their assets are located and build a model or design a model on the metaverse. This is what an architect can be doing. Show them examples of how
digital twins.
yeah, of how they can do a 3D rendering of their asset on the metaverse. And that's a full-time job.
Yeah, and then sell that space in the metaverse. So
Sell it.
yeah,
You can sell the space, or you can rent the space. You can rent advertisements. I mean, there's so many things you can do once you create that entity. But the architect can actually design some really cool projects in the metaverse, and then also the design how the marketing is going to be woven into those assets. So there's a lot of things people can do. It's just got to open your mind a little bit and stop thinking about yesterday and start thinking about tomorrow.
Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure as usual, Ed, and I can't wait for our next installation. So much has happened since the last time we did this, and I just can't wait for what's to come. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Zena. I mean, it's always a pleasure talking to you. You know the industry very well. You love tech. And so it's really easy to kind of talk to you about what we're doing. And I look forward to staying in touch with you. Things are, getting more and more interesting. I'm sleeping less, but I'm having a great time. So let's stay in touch.
Yes, indeed. And for everyone out there, go visit redswan.io, make yourself an account, go check out the assets that have been sold, the ones that are still available for you to invest in. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.